In this episode, I'll be giving my reaction to the 11th episode in Survivor's 50th season, titled Everyone Will Be Shooketh. 2 episodes left after this week, so let's get right into episode 11 of Survivor Season 50 tonight. Let's go. Survivor Season 50, episode 11 is here, and the biggest news of this hour, if you don't want to be spoiled, please click off this video. Ozzy voted off tonight at Tribal Council, and Emily, both Ozzy and Emily, funnily enough, there's not funny, but there's rumors out there of these two being together, where Emily is happily married, so I doubt that this is an actual thing that's happening, that has been held under wraps, but I guess we'll find out at the reunion, but I don't think they actually are. But besides the fake rumors online, Ozzy got punched to the head, and I'm not even a big Ozzy fan, but that hurt to watch Ozzy get voted out tonight. He should have played the idol. I don't know. I felt like, Rizzo might have some happy customers. He kind of got the Cody treatment on the way out where Jesse votes out Cody, and Jesse's like, I'll explain later. And Cody's like, there's nothing to explain, bro. And Ozzy's like, there's nothing to explain, bro. But I think Ozzy's going to be a little bit more upset with Rizzo than Cody was with Jesse, at least on the surface. But wow. Look at this final 7. Who would have ever predicted that this would be the final 7 of Survivor Season 50? Joe, Cirie, Aubrey, Rick Devens, who else is even there? Tiffany, Jonathan, and who am I missing? Somebody else. Rizzo. That's this top 7. It always happens in the returner seasons where the good players get taken out and we're kind of left with the hosh-posh of the who's who. Rizzo probably shouldn't even have been on the season. Aubrey, a late call to be on the season. Rick Devens, a late call to be on the season. And Tiffany, one of the bigger criticized picks. Obviously Cirie's still there. Jonathan was a lock to make it, but I don't think people thought he should be there. Joe's the same thing. This is what you get in returner seasons, but we're here for the ride in Survivor Season 50. Tonight was a great episode, I have to say. And, who knows what comes next or what has happened in the past. Well, I think they've been on a hot streak, actually. I feel like last week was good with Stephanie getting voted out. 2 weeks ago was like, whatever, with Christian going home. And then the Coach and Chrissy episode was great. The D episode was great. So I think we've been on a real heater here of Survivor Season 50. I feel like, your opinion's on the blood moon. I don't love the twist, but it is what it is. That's, I think, my big takeaway of tonight. Obviously, they split the groups down into 4 people, which 4 people per person, which we'll get into. But I feel like you had to get these twists in if you wanted this 24-person cast. And I have to say, there's only like 1 or 2 people I'm not really digging so far on season 50. And actually, the only person I really didn't like is out right now. And so to get more of these players on a screen, especially later in the game, it hurts to lose 2 people at the final 9. Of course, we can't get a traditional final 9 vote, but it is what it is. And we had to get some of these people out of the game. I think their strategy was, we have all these people, so we're going to want to show you them for as much as possible later on. So, we do single tribals in the pre-merge, and then the post-merge, we get some funky shit going on. I'm really saying we should have done this in 49. We should have tested out some of these twists, where 49 was just like a, open canvas to like really take a chance. Season 39, they put Sandra and Rob's head on the freaking islands and do some crazy shit, but who am I to say? I'm not a producer. But biggest news of this hour, also Cirie, clutched up moment, which we'll talk about, of her potentially being in trouble, but she plays her extra vote. So Emily and Ozzy no longer in the game. I did think Ozzy was a pretty strong contender to win. Actually, I'll have a little story about that later. But Emily, it felt like this was her time. I was predicting Emily would go home tonight, and she does go home, but in a really, really roundabout way. So let's get into the top of this episode. Starting off of last week, if you remember, we had the Stephanie vote off. That was all sorts of crazy, all sorts of scrambling. No one knew what was happening. Rick doubles up the pot with the coin flip, gets a media idol, and now Stephanie's voted out of the game, so you come back to camp. Not a ton of reactions from people. I think we got maybe Ozzy talking about it first to jump off the episode, but the real one is Aubrey. It feels like Aubrey's having this moment of triumph after getting Stephanie out of the game. But what was Aubrey really doing to determine that vote, and I think there's a lot of people saying, Aubrey might win this game, blah, 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 she's getting a crazy edit. What has she done? She's done nothing. And tonight, I think she's going to try and take credit for it. What did she, I don't know. But We'll talk about it. Anyways, she has this moment of triumph, which I thought she didn't really do much in that episode. She was like questioning Rick, I'm going to go do the coin, or you shouldn't do the coin. And then he's like, well, you want to do it? And she's like, no. And then it was between her and Stephanie on the revote. She actually got 2 votes. So I don't really know what that moment of triumph, I guess just making another day. You know, I've come to terms with Aubrey at this point. I know what we're going to get out of Aubrey. I don't love her. I don't hate her. But I don't know. I thought the moment of triumph after not really doing much or being a big force in the last tribal council was odd. So Rick does get his idol. There was a lot of speculation this week on if there was going to be some funky twist to it. Can he not play it himself? Can he play it on other people? Nope, it's a normal idol, and he can use it to the final 7. I know, but usually idols are good to the final 5, so good for them to put in a little bit of a buffer there. You know, I think it's just smart of him to just burn it at this tribal no matter what, which we will talk about his decision later on in the episode. And yeah, Rick just has an insane sequence of him just going around the island doing crazy shit, pouring water, like circling water everywhere, dancing. And you know, I didn't like Rick Devens, and I don't know how many times I said this, but I didn't like Rick Devens in Edge of Extinction. But this season, I have to say, Rick's pretty affable and he's pretty funny. So, you know, he's here for season 50. He showed up to play a fun game, and you know, if some of these people are just sticking to their pack and making the moves for whatever, and you know, on to the next one, process it. But Rick's doing fun shit, so I gotta respect Rick for that. And he's got his Mr. Beast idol to play until the final 7, so I did like that was till the final 7, not till the final 5. A little bit of a buffer in there because he had the safety last week's tribal council as well, so good for him. You know, he's happy, he's got his idol. Rick Devens needed an idol on Survivor Season 50, and he hadn't had one yet, so there you go. And there is one person who is not as happy about Rick getting his idol and having his way at the tribal council and really being the star of the show, and that is his season-long rival in Joe Hunter. And, you know, shout out to Joe. I think Joe is just here for the ride at this point, but his rivalry with Rick has been great this season, and Joe is just he's one of the most unintentionally funny people ever, where if you just take him like at face value and just watch his actions, I just find myself geeking just watching Joe at any point in this season. He's just hilarious. Everything he does is just hilarious to me. I don't know why, but I feel like Joe is just so funny. That's something I noticed this season. And he says he tries to go around to people and say that's inappropriate what Rick did, like winning the idol, and like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, everyone had the chance to somebody had to go up and flip the coin. But it's just so funny how much Joe does not like Rick Devens. And you'd think they would like each other. You know, one of the only couple parents left on the season. Actually, well, 2 people who didn't have kids are voted out tonight. But I don't know. I feel like Joe and Rick could easily connect in on a regular season. But who knows? I guess, you know, this season has been a big season of rivalries. Joe versus Rick, Genevieve versus Aubrey, Mike White versus Christian off screen. You know, there's some big drama there. So really, I think this reunion is actually going to be pretty exciting if they really get into the dirty details of what happened in the season. But who knows? It's CBS, and you know, they tend to disappoint us. But funny stuff from Joe being pissed off about this quote unquote inappropriate move from Rick. So at the top of the episode, we have Tiffany and Cirie having a very interesting conversation now that we talk about the end results of this episode. So Tiffany and Cirie want to flush Ozzy and Rizzo's idol. And this, to me, you know, we've seen this all season. Somebody says, let's make a move on Ozzy. And then Cirie's like, antennas go up. She's like, I don't want to do this anymore, and I'm going to turn on this person. But it seems like she's got Tiff in a pretty good spot, because she actually takes what Tiff says, and she's like, I remember when I got idled out of the game pretty much in Game Changer at the Final 6, Advantage Geddon, you know, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop this season. How is Cirie going to get screwed this time? But they want to potentially flush Ozzy and Rizzo's idol so that it's just, you know, they have to play it, but they don't have to go home. Well, especially Cirie wants to do that. Tiffany maybe wants to make an actual plan to make a move on them. But I think we'll question the move for Rizzo tonight. But I feel like Tiff has been in with the Wizard of Oz. Like, I feel like that's a good 4, and you could have had 4 of 7 people where it's simple, but, you know, Rizzo had to muck up the waters, which we will talk about later. But they do want to flush Ozzy and Rizzo's idol, so interesting there. And now I just realized, well, I was going to say Cirie has Ozzy's extra vote, but she played it tonight. So really, the only advantage that got flushed tonight was Cirie's extra vote. Rizzo still has his idol. Ozzy's idol walks out in his pocket. Just astonishing that Ozzy would have an idol, leave with an idol in his pocket. We'll get to it. So, not, you know, preliminary plans, maybe flush this idol from Ozzy or Rizzo. Emily is finally saying what I think a lot of people out there are saying. why don't we get out Sari tonight? I feel like Devins is like, yeah, actually, if Sari's there at the final three, she'll just automatically win, which is completely true. But you do have 2 opportunities to take her out, even if she gets to the final 5. She's not winning an immunity challenge at 5 or 4, so you can just vote her out at 5, and you can probably beat her in fire at 4. I don't know how good Luke is from AU. I did watch that Australian versus the World season, but I don't know. I don't think Sari was practicing fire, if I had to guess, and I feel like Sari's probably cooked, and I don't think she's going to make it to the end, but who knows? We can hope, right? But Emily starts that push. I guess good for Sari, because now Emily's out of the game, and Devins is in like down bad territory. So we get to the immunity challenge, where there are it's the stand on a pyramid thing. Not, well, is it almost a pyramid? It's like a little pyramid, like half pyramid, and your feet are wide, and then you have to go tighter and tighter, and it's a fun challenge. Big hide and seek moment from Q out of season 46. I'm shocked they didn't go back to that. They talked about Jonathan winning this challenge in like 3 minutes. Should have talked about Q talking about hide and seek. Charlie trolling him. You had 2 people right there. Tiff was there. You could have said Tiff was here, and Q is fucking around in this challenge. But no, we get Jonathan flashbacks. So I have to say, if you don't want to be spoiled on potentially events that happen later on in the season, I'm not going to spoil placements or anything, but I will spoil maybe something that does happen, so maybe skip a minute ahead. I've been thinking that there's a family visit. I feel like maybe some podcasts have been a little loose-lipped, aka Jesse on last week's Rob has a podcast. I don't know. I feel like there's going to be a family visit, and I was like, this has to be it, because the episode description was like, there's a twist coming that they're upset about their family members and whatever. But maybe we're just not getting a family visit. I thought for sure the season would have a family visit. I don't even know if this is technically spoilery. I don't know anything else that happens on this season. The only thing I knew is that Mr. Beast twist doubled the money. So I've made it. I deleted Twitter for fucking 10 months, and I've been so careful to avoid spoilers. So I don't know what happens, but I think there was potentially a family visit, and they're doing one twist an episode, right? So I thought this week would be family visit, but no. Okay, back to regular talk. The winner of this immunity challenge gets an advantage that they can play out at Tribal tonight. Now, hearing this scared me, because I had a perception of how this episode was going to go, and this was not it, because I don't know. I should have thought more of myself. These twists have been going crazy every week. Last week you had the Mr. Beast. The week before you had Jimmy Fallon. The week before you had the double twist. The D vote off the only normal vote? Was there a twist for that? Maybe 2 immunity winners or something. Blood Moon. Before that, there was I felt like something was happening every single week, some crazy shit. So of course we have to get crazy tonight. The winner of this immunity challenge gets an advantage that plays out at Tribal Council tonight, which also scared me dually because of last week. Last week did make for good television, and then being like, what's Mr. Beast going to do? But this challenge they will read after, or this advantage they will read after the challenge, and the winner of the immunity gets it, which, people bar back and forth on that. It is what it is, I guess. I don't, like I said, we have to accept results and just realize this season filmed in June of 2025. Like, this season's been over for almost a year, technically, if filmed. We can't go back and change the twist. Yes, we can advocate for future twists, but I don't know. I'm of 2 opinions on this twist. I think this would be a great twist for 49. Like, they almost did this with Savannah. But I don't know. I feel like here in season 50, if we were going to have a twistless season, and you guys voted for the dynamic twist, which basically means a twist every episode, I did not vote for that. I voted for no power and twist, I think. But starting the season off with 24 people, I think this was always going to happen. You have to get rid of literally a person a day in order to accomplish that, and they have off days and stuff like that. So it is what it is. We'll talk about the advantage in a second. So fun challenge where something very interesting happens. Everyone makes it a couple steps. Some people fall off. And you make it to the top of this little pyramid where there's a straight platform, and you're standing on 2 feet. And then Jeff's like, go to 1 feet, and instantly everybody falls off, which was crazy. And seemingly Tiff is the last one to be standing. And, I was watching with my sister and my mom. My sister was very excited to see Tiff win immunity tonight. Nope. We have to go. There's a problem with the challenge. which is crazy. Which I guess you have to explain that because Jeff did call it too soon. But it's just funny to see the production errors in real time, where they have to go to Jeff goes out on a boat and has to like go watch instant replay, which I'm sure that took probably like an hour, like at the end of a college basketball game. But they go back and run the film. Tiffany actually had not raised her foot in time when everyone else was stable. People were dropping off. She still had 2 feet on the platform. So she was technically disqualified at that point, meaning the last person to be on the platform was Jonathan. Now this might be a big what if in Survivor history. What if Tiff was able to get her foot up and win immunity, and then she gets to go back and forth between the 2 groups, and then the groups might be different with the rock draw. Somebody should play that out in like a brand steal or something, see what happens. But yeah, crazy that this, I don't know, I think the Wendell moment, there's like a Wendell moment when he gets pissed off about something being changed, but this might have cost Lex like millions of dollars with the tattoo and stuff. It is what it is. Survivor makes mistakes. At least they show it to us. I don't know. But the thing is, I don't know how they could have avoided showing that to us. So that is what it is. But we get to the twist. Double groups in groups of 4, which, yeah, no split tribal yet at the merge. It's a staple of the new era. And, the season is new era coded in the ways it is. But it's also a little old school. But, like, the game format and twists are very new era. So you knew you were going to get, well, you didn't know it for sure. But... And I didn't think tonight would be a double. That was pretty surprising. I was trying to think of how this could possibly make sense. Like, we have 9 people left. There's 3 episodes left. How are they going to do this? But I guess double groups tonight, 2 groups of 4. Scary ass shit. I thought it was just going to be groups of 4, and Jonathan gets to be at one. Picks the group he gets to go to, but no, he gets to go to both and vote at both, which is an insane twist there. So Jonathan is the power broker, I believe they call this twist. I think a lot of people are going to be upset about this twist, but I don't know, because usually the twist, how people are upset about it, depends on who goes home. So are people going to be up in arms about Emily or Ozzy going home? Definitely not Emily. The reaction might be there for Ozzy, but like, he should have just played his idol. I don't know if people will be that upset about this twist. I think it'll be, maybe one that's debated back and forth in the Survivor community. I think it's an interesting concept. I don't love like all these new twists on season 50 when we should be celebrating the players having these normal votes. But like I said, the 24-person cast, I don't need to be the same fucking person saying the same thing over and over again. But yeah. So Jonathan gets to go back and forth between the beach, which I did like this aspect of seeing him go, like, checking with one plan, go to the other plan. I did like that, but him having a vote at both, maybe a little overpowered, but he won immunity, so he gets it, which I also think is stupid. But we get to the 2 groups. So first group we have is Cirie, Tiffany, Aubrey, and Rick. So in this one, I was worried for Cirie, bro. And, Cirie, famously, if you've been sticking along with my reviews throughout the season, she ran away from me at Mohegan Sun. I waited 2 hours to meet her, and then she bolted right when I got to the front of the line. Cirie, it hurt. Now you get cameos, $200, you couldn't stay an extra minute. But it is what it is. And so looking at this group, I'm like, okay, it's Cirie, Tiffany, Aubrey, and Rick, which, like, Aubrey and Rick might... No, I got this wrong. I actually wrote this down wrong. It's not Aubrey. It's Emily. Wow. Notes were off tonight. Cirie, Tiffany, Emily, and Rick... I thought Jonathan would work with Emily and Rick to take out Cirie and Tiffany, and Cirie would be cooked because, who's taking out Tiffany at this point in the game? But I was wrong, and we'll get into those dynamics. So that was just my initial reaction to that group. Then you have Joe, Aubrey, Rizzo, and Ozzy, and this felt like, yeah, it's probably Aubrey's time unless like shit gets crazy, which is the initial impact on that one. So first, we start off with the sort of scramble from the first group. So obviously, Rick Devens has this immunity idol. It's a public idol. Everyone knows about it. He got it at the Mr. Beast Tribal Council. Lots on this group was coming down to, will Rick play this idol on himself? Which, yeah, I think it was smart what him and Emily tried to do, but it was always obvious that Rick was going to play it on himself. And Emily has this mastermind plan where she's saying, I think I can get him to play it on me. And so she's going to try and sell that to everybody else. It's like this one level where you're like, oh, she's going to try and pull a blindside on Rick. But no, Rick is going to play it on himself, and she's going to pretend to vote for Rick, and then she's trying to get the majority on Rick, 3 people onto Rick, and then her and Rick decide who goes home. Obviously, Jonathan's immune, so that would be Cerie. So making a mastermind move, like a next level move, but luckily Cerie has a little something in her pocket to help her out later on. But Emily almost went mastermind mode for a second, which would have been shocking considering, we've barely seen Emily on this season. So back on the other beach, I did a little short video about this, and I didn't even talk about this in the opening of tonight. Ozzy, bro. I think I didn't love the casting choice of Ozzy heading into this season. That being said, he has grown on me a little bit throughout the season, but after tonight, I'm willing to say, I don't know why I'm like tingling saying this, he deserved to go home. I think he made a massive mistake. There's the final 9, and the first thing you're doing when you get to the beach is jury managing. Like she could have an idol, she could have extra votes, she could have a block of votes, she could have a save through that, To do this is so stupid. I'm sorry, Oz, but like you had Andy do this in season 47 with Rachel, and like at least that's understandable. Like Rachel was quote unquote dead to rights, like nobody knew about her idol, everyone thought Genevieve had an idol, so it was like Rachel probably doesn't have one, but it was also stupid on Andy's part to do that. This is even dumber because there's less people left in the game. What was the Andy boot, like 6th? I think he got 6th place. There's 9 people left in the game. You give Aubrey all the time in the world, where at least Andy was like, there's only a couple of minutes left. Let me tell you about my game. Aubrey can just go run this to everybody, which she does, which is smart by Aubrey. And I think Aubrey is a good game player, but like Ozzy, that's a massive mistake to be playing to the jury. He's like, I think she'll vote for me for the 2 million. You got to get her out of the game first. Like I never, I've played a little bit of Survivor games. I never like talking about, I always downplay. I never upplay myself. He's like, I've been working with Cerie this whole time. I gave her an extra vote, which, luckily for Cerie, she just played that tonight. So there's going to be no like, Cerie has an extra vote, but I didn't, he's like, we had a day 1 agreement to go to the end together. And luckily, like for Cerie's, as a Cerie fan, like a Cerie, hope she wins this season to make it like great. Luckily for her, like none of this should blow back in her right now, but in Ozzy's case, like, bro, what was he doing saying all this stuff? To Aubrey too, his biggest op, like the person they're just gonna obviously vote out, he's like, I know you're going home, like basically saying you're going home tonight, bring this to the jury. Like imagine being told that if you're in the game. What are you going to do? You're going to run that to tell everybody. Especially if he's telling you, hey, you're probably not going to make it tonight, and I'm telling you my whole game because you need to go to that jury and tell them. Like, that's so pompous, I'm sorry. But I feel like Andy did a way better job at this, and Andy still got played right in his face, Never... This is a message to all the Survivor players because they're never going to cast me. They're never going to let me on this stupid show. Never hype up your own game. If anything, downplay it. I just played a game where I won. No big deal there. I came back from I got rocked out and came back into the game at the final 7. The first thing I said to everybody was, it's a waste of time to vote me out. Nobody respects me. I'm going to do nothing. And then I ended up running with shit. But like... I don't think this is a good idea to hype up your game, and I don't think you should be talking about your game publicly at all, to be honest, like in a jury sense of like, this is what I did. Like, you need to have that sort of aura and then bring it all to the final tribal council. Like, I thought this was just a really, really dumb move in Ozzy's part. I'm sorry. And, I'm sure everyone else will dunk on him tonight, but I had to just say my piece. I feel like that was really stupid. So, of course, Aubrey goes around that, tells other people, and... Now, on the other beach, Jonathan's going back and forth. Cerie actually does a good job in this episode of like not dying on the hill for Ozzy, where she knows she only has a limited amount of power in her hands. Jonathan's telling her, hey, we might go for Ozzy, but she can't break the rules and go over there to the other side of the beach. She just has to hope that Rizzo will do the right thing, which actually, now thinking about it, this Rizzo and Cerie, will we see a pissed off Cerie next week at Rizzo? What are you doing, you fucking idiot kid? That could be fun. Anyways, Cerie is now encouraging Joe to talk to Rizzo. So Rizzo will be like, either talk some sense into Joe or talk some sense into Ozzy, saying, hey, they're coming after you, play your idol. Or talk to Joe and be like, Joe, be smart and side with Cerie. But it doesn't work. Cerie did her part. She couldn't be at that beach. I don't know. Maybe she did neglect against Jonathan's move a little bit, but like, you know, only so much you could do for Suri and her idol or her ally with Ozzy. Tough scenes for Suri. So the power is really in Rizzo's hand once again, which, I think Rizzo has played a fantastic game on this season, and it won't get recognized because he's my age and everyone else is older. Nobody knows who he is. I think Rizzo, unfortunately, from just a logistical standpoint, I think he has no chance to win this game. But from an actual, I'm observing gameplay, he got D to turn on Charlie, which is insane. He's been running this whole game with Suri and Ozzy. No one thinks he's anything. No one thinks he's doing anything. He's a big part of the strategy. He's aligned with Joe. He's aligned with Tiffany. He's aligned with Suri. He's aligned with Ozzy. I mean, he's got good relationship with Jonathan. I think Rizzo's playing a great game. I think if I was on Island, I'd think Rizzo's 1 or 2 in the power rankings right now, especially because he has no threat level. I feel like Rizzo's played a great game. Riz God, I'm giving you your flowers right now. He's turned the tides because I thought he was a little cringy in 49. The idol shenanigans, whatever. He still has an idol too. I feel like we got to give, if Rizzo gets third place and gets 0 votes, we still got to give him his flowers for this season. I feel like this is a masterful performance. The kid's skinny as hell. He's put the last 45 days of his 50 days of him playing Survivor. I'm giving Rizzo some credit, man. I got to give it to him. I think he's doing a great job out there, and he's toned down the cringeness. I feel like he's leveled up in maturity and adult to be around these returning players and be he's very, he's a little fanboy at times, but the power's in Rizzo's hands tonight. He decided he went home on that little small group, so it is what it is. We get to Tribal Council, and I was saying, Suri, come on, man. Come on, mama. You got to play this extra vote. Big exhale of relief, but, we'll get to that. Emily, I feel like, did a little too much to indicate that something extra is going on tonight. She said she's done everything she could possibly do tonight in order to save herself, and I feel like she was doing a little too much. She's I forget what else she said, but I don't know. I don't really usually take Tribal Council comments to mean anything. They're all bullshitting, but I don't know. Maybe Emily, what she said tonight, did her a little in extra. So we get to the votes. Whatever's going to happen happens. Emily, or Rick plays his idol, not for Emily, of course. He plays it for himself. And so we get the vote reveal. It's 2 to 3, or 2 votes for Devins are canceled. 1 vote for Emily, 1 vote for Suri, 1 vote for Suri, but there's another vote. And my sister and my mom are what's going on? She played the extra vote, guys. There's an extra, he would have said whatever person voted on Survivor 50. And luckily, Suri is clocked in. Okay, she played both of her votes and they did a perfect split. Honestly, I was saying in this small of groups, if you have something, unleash that shit. An extra vote in a group of 5 votes becomes so much more powerful, and you want to make it as far as you can, obviously. So this could have been it for Suri if she didn't play it. So I thought that was awesome by Suri. Great job, Suri, playing that extra vote. And on the revote, she gets 2 votes, which, I'm sure there's going to be some Survivor historians, when are you allowed to play on this extra revote? When are you allowed to play 2 votes? Blah, 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 blah. Who cares? They let them do whatever they want. It's Suri, of course, she's going to get the vote with 2 votes. And Emily is voted out in a 4-2 vote on the revote. Emily, I thought was a fun addition to the season. Did she potentially deserve to be on season 50? Probably. I think her legacy was she was a fun character on 45, had a big growth arc. I think although she was fun on the season, I think Emily's arc will be better remembered as just a one-off arc in 45. And I feel like season 50, she was kind of just a background character, spilling information, which was fun, but did we need her back in the season? I don't know. And anyways, I'm a fan of Emily's. I feel like she's fun, she's chaotic, but I don't know if she'll be remembered much in season 50, even though she got 9th place. On the other side of the group, we have Ozzy. I feel like Ozzy has a big dumb moment of being I'm not going to talk about Boston Rob's immunity record when Jonathan's winning all these things. And I thought for sure the way they talked about this record that Ozzy would win it. Does this just mean he's coming back again, for the fucking, Cook Islands, Micronesia, South Pacific, 6th time? Do we need Ozzy for a 6th time? It didn't feel send-offy. We got the coach send-off, we got the Colby send-off. I don't know if we got the Ozzy send-off tonight. He might be back, guys. But obviously, Ozzy had a very touching moment talking about his fatherhood deceased. I've never even watched Cook Island, so I didn't see that part of him saying his dad wasn't there for him. But I feel like him at this Tribal Council, he was just not acting very smart and not picking up on social cues. And I didn't think they were going to go through with it. After Tribal was like, you know what, I think Ozzy's going to stay tonight because Aubrey has that nice like final touching moment of being like, I have anxiety, but I know it and I feel it all over me, but I push it to the side and we persevere. I don't know. Tough scenes for Ozzy. He gets voted out 4-1. Very upset. I won't even say pissed off. He's just in despair. Like, poor Ozzy, man. 8th place. I mean, that's better than Game Changers, right? It's better than, this might be like his second worst performance. But I feel like Ozzy had some real legs on him this time. He played strategically. It just came down to, he played too well that people kept trying to go after him. Last week, people were going after him. Initially, 2 weeks ago, people went after him. So, tough look for the Ozman. I wouldn't be surprised if we got Ozzy back for like a legend season or like one more go of it. But cheers to Ozzy. He got his restaurant. He's all over the place on social media. He's at every like Bryce and Wen present event. He's at I don't know if he's at RHAP. I don't know if they're like allowed to be there, but he's at watch parties. I saw a video of him and Karishma and Jelinsky doing like Pablo Escobar trend. So, I was a little sad for Ozzy's night because I know he takes these games super personally and he got completely backstabbed, especially by somebody like Joe, Jonathan, and Rizzo, who he thought was the closest ally. It's tough, but Aubrey wins. Aubrey wins this battle between her and Ozzy. So that is the end of it's not the end of the Game Changer players, but now we're at a final 7, which, again, just an absurd final 7, but you could probably put together any group of 7 people and I'd be like, how did that possibly happen on Survivor Season 50? But that's it for the episode. We'll now go into my top 3 to win and top 3 out next. So as always, these get a little bit more difficult as we run down the numbers. So top 3 to win, I got Cirie number 1. It's just automatic if she makes it to the end. Let me tell my Aussie story first. So as I said, I never had any spoils for the whole season. The only thing I knew was that the only thing I knew was that Mr. Beast doubled the prize pot, or like you could win extra money with Mr. Beast. But I stayed so good, guys. I deleted Twitter for 10 months. I don't have Twitter right now. I've been so unspoiled on the season. And I go into Wikipedia the day before the season starts for some fucking reason. I don't know why. And I see there's like all the players' names on the chart. And next to Ozzy's name, it says winner. That's the only thing it says on the whole fucking voting chart. But the day before the season starts, nothing has happened. And I'm like, oh my God, I just deleted Twitter for like 7 months and I just saw the winner on fucking Wikipedia for no reason. So my relief tonight, I don't know what happens until Survivor 50. And, if you've been watching the past couple of videos, maybe I've been holding it back a little bit on Ozzy. I thought he was winning the season just due to that Wikipedia spoiler, but now I don't know anything. I'm so excited to see these last 2 weeks of Survivor Season 50. But anyways, back to the top 3 to win. Cirie, I got number 1. It's just, if she makes it to that final 3, she's winning automatically. It is looking a little bit rocky for her to get there, but seemingly people aren't willing to Rick and Amelie were willing to do it tonight, but is Rizzo going to be willing to do that next week? Or is that other group going to be willing to do that? Who knows? Number 2, I got Aubrey. I feel like Aubrey's edit has really picked up in the last couple of weeks. They're trying to show us her doing stuff that she just isn't doing. And there is like situations where she has a favorable final 3. So I don't know. I feel like an Aubrey win would be disappointing. Let me go through the list of people who'd actually be interesting to see win. Cirie, if Cirie wins this season, like, come on now. This season was fire if Cirie wins. Like, you wouldn't even deny that shit. If Rick wins, I think that'd be super fun, even though, it's Rick. But that would be insane to watch Devins win this season. To see Aubrey win would be like... To see Tiffany win after doing nothing or just being not shown at all in the first part of the season would be like, that was disappointing. They should have showed more of her. To see Rizzo win, the world would not be ready to see Rizzo win this game, bro. And then Jonathan got a block, though. Like, he's got all the old school people on the jury. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I said this to my friend tonight texting. I think Joe's dead. I think Tiffany's dead. But besides that, I think everybody potentially has a chance to win this game. Joe win would just be insane. Like, if Joe won this game, I'd be laughing to the bank. And then Jonathan, I'd be a little bit upset, to be honest. But it's just because the people I didn't like coming into the season was like, I don't care about Jonathan. I don't care about Aubrey. It's like, now these 2 people are 2 of the like more likely people to win the season. Who knows? Top 3 out next. I think Jonathan could be in. Oh, I didn't get on my third one. So Cirie number 1, Aubrey number 2 to win. Rick number 3. I think Rick's had a great story, and it would just be fun to see him win. I think he has the one built-in rivalry with Joe. However, like my number 4 would be Jonathan or Rizzo, and Rizzo just doesn't have the respect of people, and Jonathan, I feel like Dee's bitter at him. Stephanie might be bitter at him. Coach and Christy probably aren't bitter at him, but like, maybe he has some votes out there. But Jonathan would be number 4, Rizzo number 5, just due to logistics. Top 3 out next. Number 1, I got Jonathan. I think after tonight, the like power broker thing, people could be looking to target him for that. Sari, number 2. It's just Sari's in the final 7. Why is she still in the game? And then Rick, just because everyone hates Rick and wants to get him out. So those are the top 3 I believe could be out next. Yeah, I think the season is headed towards the outcasts. Like Aubrey was subbed in last minute. Tiffany was not a lot of people's first choice to be on this season at all. Joe, same thing. Jonathan, same thing. So really it could just be this mid-merge. Just weeded out all of our characters. Christian, Coach, D, Who knows? So we'll have to see. Only 2 weeks left. There's 7 people left, so maybe a double next week. Who knows? But I've been loving talking about Survivor 50. I feel like this is my best content, is talking about Survivor. I'm so excited and passionate about this shit, especially 50. Watched the trailer a million times. Went to the idol hunt. Didn't get it. Sari ran away from me. It's okay. I still love the show, and I still tune in every night. So super excited to see how this one ends. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. If you have Twitter, you're not allowed to comment because apparently everything's spoiled over there. Fuck you. I got off that shit 10 months ago in July. All right. So yeah, would appreciate if all this hard work I did was for something to matter and for me not to be spoiled on what happens in the season. I work so hard, guys. And screw all the alumni and everyone just ruining it for everybody. And what is it? The Reddit pages and all that crap. It's a landmine to watch anything related to Survivor and thank God, bro. Fuck the spoiler people. All right, we got 2 weeks left. Let's live it out. So yeah, that'll do it on this episode. Coming up in the Dubcast this week, we might have a UFC 328 video. Fucking hate that card, but we'll talk about it. And then after that, Top Gun, Maverick. That'll be the next movie review. Expect more movie reviews coming. Daredevil Born Again, Season 2 ended. Check out my reactions to all the episodes on that. Just came out last night with the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 finale. And then The Mall, Shadow Lord, just finished as well, Season 1. So some more free time for movies maybe. Also NBA coverage. We had a nice live stream on Monday. I'll be posting a reaction clip from that to my beloved Boston Celtics. Maybe somebody was a little bit upset about that. But content's flowing. The short game's flowing. So go to TikTok, go to Instagram, go to YouTube Shorts, posting stuff on there. And yeah, I feel like I'm pretty happy about how the Dubcast is going at this point. So would feel happier if you guys stick along for the ride. Subscribe, like, comment, dislike if you got to. So appreciate you all. I'll see you next week for episode 12, the penultimate episode of Survivor Season 50, which is just crazy to say. So see you then. And as always, be easy, y'all.